With respect to our teacher, Thai, dear brothers, dear sisters, dear friends, today is the 24th of July in the year 2017, and we are on beginning third week of our summer retreat, our summer opening. And we're going to listen to 3 sounds of the bell. And as we listen to the bell, we bring our body and mind back together. We feel our abdomen rising as we breathe in and falling as we breathe out. And we are able to come back to ourselves in the present moment. So today Sister Jiung is our bell mistress, and so we have a solid sound of the bell. We're grateful for that. And you just heard that the theme for this week is happiness, true happiness. We talk about true happiness. There must be another kind of happiness which isn't true. So together we will climb the hill of true happiness during this week. And we may meet many interesting things as we go on that path. And that path is also have some mud as well as the green grass. But we are open. We open the door of our heart in order to be able to accept what comes along. Because we are looking for a deep kind of happiness. We want to touch a deep kind of happiness. When I was in my 20s, I decided to go and live in a monastery in India. And in order to do that, I had to let go of quite a few things. I had to let go of my job. I had to let go of my salary. And also many people thought it wasn't a good idea, so I had to let go of other people's advices. And I had to let go of a lot of material comfort. I had to let go of electricity and running water and good food, 3 meals a day. But I touched a very deep happiness that I hadn't touched before. And because the happiness was there, I didn't really worry so much about the things that weren't there. And when you come to Plum Village yesterday, and the rain is falling down on your tent, but you don't have the material comforts that you have when you are at home, but all the same, you feel happy. Why do you feel happy? Because you have found a spiritual home. And that to us is something very important as a human being, that we have a spiritual home. So we're able to give up material comfort in order to find our spiritual home. And when you come to your spiritual home, you meet so many other people who have done the same as you have done, who have given up material comfort for a week or 2 weeks in order to come here. And while you're here, you are put in a family, and your family has to wash up pots or clean the toilets for many people. And when you do that work at home, maybe you don't feel so happy. You want to do it in order to finish the work you are doing. But when you come here and you work together in a family like that, you support each other, you feel so much joy while you're doing the work. So every year more and more people come to Plum Village. And so we know that we are providing, or the monks and nuns in Plum Village know, and the long-term practitioners know, that they are providing something that people want and that people need. So we see that in order to touch true happiness, we have to let go of our little happinesses sometimes. Our happinesses and our needs, the things that we may not really need. Because what we really need is brotherhood and sisterhood, and we need a spiritual path in our life. And one time a young practitioner came from Paris to the summer opening, and she said that normally I go to a lot of parties, we hear the very loud music, and everyone in the party is laughing and they look as if they're really happy and they're having a very good time. But when I came to Plum Village, I realized that that kind of happiness is just like a thin skin on the surface. And underneath that thin skin, there is a lot of suffering. So that is one of a kind of happiness that we have to cover up our suffering. So when we began, we practiced abdominal breathing. And the reason why we bring our attention back to our abdomen is in order not to have to think. Actually, in our intestines, we have many neurons. And sometimes people call the intestine a second brain. But that brain, it works very little bit differently from brain up here. So it's a relief to be able to let go of our thinking and just feel our abdomen rising and falling. And that is the first exercise of the Anapanasati Sutta, to be aware of your in-breath and to be aware of your out-breath, and to enjoy the feeling of your breathing. Because when your mind comes back to your breathing, your mind comes back to your body, and you can really enjoy the feeling of being there as one whole, like your mind and your body and your breath is also there. Three things: the mind, the body, and the breathing. So when you've enjoyed your abdominal breathing for a little while, then you can go deeper into your breath, and you can allow your mind and your breath to become one. So we talk about following your breathing, but if you say that I follow my breathing, you have the idea that your mind and your breathing are different, that your mind comes along after your breathing. But in fact, the second exercise is for your mind and your breathing to become one. So it's like this is your mind, and this is your in-breath, and your mind just becomes one as your in-breath goes in, is one with your in-breath. And as your out-breath goes out, it's one with your out-breath. And if you would like to try, we ask our bell mistress to invite a sound of the bell, and you can practice so that your mind and your in-breath and your mind and your out-breath become one. And whatever your in-breath and out-breath do, your mind just stays with it. Your mind doesn't judge or try and change your in-breath or out-breath. It just stays with it. And this means that you are very aware of your in-breath and your out-breath, and there is a feedback to your mind. So it's like a feedback circle when you're aware of your in-breath and out-breath, and quite unconsciously, your awareness will make your breath a better quality, a deeper quality, more enjoyable. We have to do this for 10 minutes or so. And after we have practiced like that for 10 minutes, we practice that our breath and our mind become one with our body. So we feel our mind and our body are one. It's like our mind, our consciousness, our awareness is in every cell of our body. And because we are more aware of our body like that, it's also a kind of feedback from our body to our mind. And our awareness helps our mind to heal. So now I would like to ask for the sound of the bell and ask you to practice to be fully aware of your body in such a way that your awareness and your body become one. So these exercises are given to us by the Buddha for our enjoyment, for our healing and for our nourishment. And there shouldn't need to be any, make any strong effort. Of course you have to make a little bit of effort to be mindful, but you don't have to force yourself. You don't have to fight or anything like that. You should enjoy more than anything. And the last of the first 4 breathings is to be able to release tension. So now your mind has really come back to your body. You are really in your body, and you can be aware of the tension, and you can release that tension from your body. So it's an exercise of relaxation, releasing tension. We really need this in our time because there's so much stress that people have to go through. And when you're at work in a stressful situation, you need to recognize that you are in a stressful situation, and as soon as the cause for the stress is no longer there, then you need to practice to release the tension that has built up. So maybe this morning, when it was raining in the night and you had to look after your tent, look after your children, you had feeling a little bit of stress while you were doing those things. But now we are sitting peacefully in the meditation hall. We are supporting each other with our mindfulness so we can release all the tension. And that is from our body. And that is the 4th exercise that we can practice together now. Breathing in, I smile. And breathing out, I release the tension. Your beautiful smile make us all happy. In our practice we talk about stopping. Can you hear all right? Is this okay? Okay, good. And we know the story of Angulimala. And we know the story of Angulimala, some of us. He's a serial murderer, and he's already murdered 99 people. He wants to murder the 100th, and he thinks that his victim will be the Buddha. And so the Buddha is practicing walking, and Angulimala is following after him. And Angulimala says, "Stop, monk." And the Buddha continues to walk. And after a while, the Buddha, when Angulimala keeps telling the Buddha to stop, the Buddha said, "I've already stopped. You're the one that needs to stop." So the wonderful thing is that we can use our walking to stop. We can walk and we can stop at the same time. And sometimes when we are in a difficult situation, the best thing we can do is practice slow walking. And we can walk very, very slowly. It's okay now? Can you hear? No? Okay. So we can walk very, very slowly. In, out. In, out. And this means that we have the opportunity to enjoy two things. We can enjoy our breath. We can enjoy our steps. And we can really feel united in body and in mind. In, out. In, out. And as we breathe in and out like that, we come back to the earth. We feel the earth under our feet. It's so solid. It's so firm. It's so accepting. And we find that we also are children of the earth. And when we have stopped like that, we've stopped all our unnecessary thinking. We've stopped all our ideas, all our fear, all our anxiety. And we're just walking into the present moment. Where is our true home? And then we can look deeply. We can live deeply and we can look deeply. Maybe you are walking in the garden and there is a beautiful tree with the leaves. And there are the dead leaves under your feet and the green leaves on the tree. And you can look very deeply at a leaf. To ask the leaf, is it afraid when it's going to fall down and be like the leaves on the floor? And you see, when you look deeply at the leaf, you see how the leaf is a miracle of life, is a wonder, and how the leaf is connected to the tree. Sometimes we think that the leaf is the child of the tree, but the leaf is also nourishing the tree, taking care of the tree. So the tree is a child of the leaf. And when we look like that, we look deeply, we've stopped and we can look deeply, then we feel that life is wonderful life is meaningful. And that feeling gives us a deep feeling of happiness. Sometimes when people feel very happy, they cry, because it's a relief to feel how wonderful life is. So being happy is not necessarily laughing a lot, although it's very good. It's very good to laugh. And it's not only that we look at the beautiful things around us when we walk slowly like that, because we also get in touch with our own feelings. We get in touch with our own emotions when we walk slowly. We get in touch with our own ways of thinking. And they are also very wonderful. Sometimes when we have an unpleasant feeling, we want to run away from it. We don't want to look deeply into it. But if we are walking slowly like that, we feel safe. We feel that now we can look deeply into our unpleasant feeling. We can open the door. Excuse me, we're going to adjust the sound. So walking like this, I'm walking into the present moment. The moment where I can be alive. The moment where I can be free. And during the day we have many opportunities to walk, to take steps. And every time we come back to our breathing, come back to our connection with the earth under our feet. And we practice stopping. And why do we need to stop? We stop in order to look deeply. And sometimes people say that we need to concentrate in order to look deeply. And stopping is a kind of concentration. Mindfulness is a kind of concentration. It doesn't last so long, but we can practice to increase our concentration. And as long as we can stop just for a very short time, we already begin to be able to look deeply. We don't have to stop for 10 minutes and then start to look deeply. We stop for 1 or 2 steps and we can already look deeply into our feeling or into the leaf on the tree. The leaf on the tree is a formation. It is made up of many things that are not the leaf. And our feeling is also a formation, made up of many things that are not our feeling. So the Buddha teaches us that we can dwell happily in the present moment. So this word, Drishta Dharma, it means this world. It means where I am now. And sometimes people think that in order to be happy, we have to go to another world. We have to die and be born in heaven or go to paradise. So the Buddha always taught that we can be happy where we are right now. We can find our paradise here. We don't need to go somewhere else. So this means here and now. And sukha means happy. And viharin means to dwell, to dwell happily, to stay happily in the present moment. And all of us, we have the tendency to think that somewhere there is a paradise, there is a pure land where there is no suffering. And when people suffer very deeply, they often have the question, is there a place I can go to where there is just happiness and there is no suffering? Because what happens is that normally when we are living, we have a good balance between happiness and suffering. And if the balance isn't there anymore, there's more suffering than there is happiness, then we start to, in our unconscious mind, we start to look for a relief. We start to look for a place where there is no suffering. We want to run away from the suffering. And because we are looking for that place, we think that that place is outside of us. But the Buddha teaches us that suffering and happiness, they come from our mind. They don't come from outside of us. So when we stop and we look deeply, the first thing that we recognize this is happiness, or we recognize this is suffering. And we know that that happiness and that suffering are coming from our mind. They're not coming from outside of us. The world is, and the deepest layers of our consciousness are neither happiness nor suffering, are neither good nor evil. We make happiness and suffering in our own mind because of our action. So this means that the seed of happiness, the potential of happiness, is there within each of us. And maybe it has been covered over by many layers of confusion and suffering. And now in our practice, we want to be able to allow the happiness to be watered and to flower again. So we all remember times in our life when we've been happy, when we've experienced real happiness. Like I just told you, the time when I went to the monastery in India, then I felt a lot of very deep happiness. So that is like something in my store. I have that stored up. And we talk about preparing for the winter. When it's snowing, we don't need to go out and cut down the tree and make the wood to make the fire. We have to prepare the logs, we have to prepare the wood when it's not snowing in the autumn or in the summer. And then in the winter we have the wood there to light our fire. And when we are in a time of happiness, We need to store that happiness up so that when things don't go so well, it'll be there to remind us, oh yes, there is a seed of happiness inside of you, and you have confidence that although you can't touch it now, you're not in complete despair because you know that the happiness is there. So if you look back over your life and you see, oh, I don't have a single day I can remember that was happy, you can start today. You can say, okay, today will be, I will have some happiness today which I can store up, and tomorrow I can come back and I can remember that happiness. So it's never too late to start to store up our happiness. And easiest way to find that is to dwell in the present moment. Happiness doesn't belong to the future, it belongs to the present moment. And when we come back to the present moment, the first thing that we may feel is peace. We no longer feel restless. We no longer feel like a monkey who is jumping from one branch to another branch to find something. We're able to drop the restlessness in ourselves and feel peace. And peace is one of the foundations for happiness. So it's so very, very good if you can feel peace in yourself. And when they translate Drishta Dharma Sukha Viharana, they translate as laktu, dwelling in happiness. And the word that goes with happiness in Vietnamese, lạc, is an, which is the word for peace, an lạc. So you feel peace and then you feel happiness from the feeling of the peace. So every step can help you to dwell in the present moment. When you walk with the Sangha, you go along at the speed that the Sangha is going. But when you walk on your own, you can go as slowly as you like. If you want to breathe in and out with one step, you can. And then breathe in and out with another step. You can go as slowly as that, because you're in Plum village and nobody will think that you are a little bit crazy if you walk slowly like that. In fact, you may even be an inspiration for people when you walk very slowly. And when you breathe in and out like that, you can ask yourself, have I arrived? Yes, I've arrived. And then you can take another step. Have I arrived? Yes, I've arrived. And every time you see that you've arrived in this step, you can take another step. And in this way, you will dwell happily in the present moment. It doesn't really need anything more than that. And another word we use when we are walking is the word home. Only recently I realized that I have ideas about my home. when my mother and my father were alive, they had a house where I had lived for many years, a place I had lived in as a child and grown up. And then when my mother and my father died, that place had to be sold. And I realized at that time, I used to think of that place as my home. So whenever in my mind I didn't feel very happy, I would always, deep down in my unconscious mind, I would console myself, well, anyway, you've got a home that you can, where your mother and father are, your mother and father have been, you can go back there. So many times we have an idea of our home. And in Vietnamese, a husband and a wife, they call each other my home. So even if you're not at home with your wife, you still think of your wife representing your home, or your husband representing your home. So many of us have an idea about someone or some place being our home. And so when I recognized that, I said, oh, I didn't yet find my true home deep down in my unconscious. Although in my conscious mind, I think sometimes, yes, I really feel at home in Plum village, I really feel at home in Germany. But still, deep down, I have an idea about my home being somewhere else. So this is a real instigation for me to practice more, recognizing my true home wherever I am on Mother Earth in the present moment. And another thing I recognize is sometimes I have the tendency to think that Mother Earth is not good enough for me. I need somewhere better than Mother Earth. Because Mother Earth, she has lotuses, but she also has mud. And I just like the lotus bit. I don't want the mud. So one day, one brother, he came to our institute in Germany, and he said, oh, you're very lucky, you have a lot of mud here to grow lotuses. And before that I was thinking, oh, it might be good to get away from the mud for a bit. So then I recognized that I have that. Deep down in my unconscious, I have the tendency not to like the mud. So that is good when you stop and you look deeply into the depth of your consciousness, and you see you have these latent tendencies to have certain ideas deep down in you. It gives you a chance to practice more deeply, to be able to not only transform your conscious mind, but also to transform the deeper levels of your consciousness. And in fact, if we don't allow us to see what is happening in the deeper levels of our consciousness, it's not very easy to transform it. In our conscious mind, we already think that we've transformed, but deep down we haven't. So we need to keep the door open in order to be able to see what deep down we haven't yet transformed, and continue our practice in order to be able to. For like making coffee or something, though, has to percolate down. So dwelling in the present moment as much as we can. And every time you hear the sound of the bell, it's a very deep practice. We're very lucky that Thai has given this practice of listening to the bell, listening to the telephone, listening to the clock, because it's an opportunity for us to be enlightened. Even if that enlightenment doesn't last longer for 3 in and out breaths, it's still waters a seed in our consciousness. So every time we hear the sound of the bell, it's an opportunity. We may not become enlightened like the Buddha sitting at the foot of the Bodhi tree, but we have an opportunity to be enlightened in a little way, many times during the day. And the bell just says to us, stop. Come back to your breathing. Stop the thinking. That's the most important thing. Stop moving, stop talking, stop the thinking. And at that point, you're able to touch another dimension. Not the normal place where you were in before the bell was invited. Sometimes we call that the ultimate dimension. But the word ultimate is very far away. It's very quite absolute. But if you just say another dimension, and when you stop like that, you may see that it's not just you who are stopping. Your mother and your father, your grandparents, all your ancestors who are in your genes, and they didn't have a chance to stop like that. Now they have stopped. So it's a very lovely sound. The sound of the bell is a very lovely sound. Not necessarily that the sound waves are so lovely, but it's lovely because it goes into each part of your body and it helps you to wake up, to be really there, to be a real human being for that time while you are breathing in and out. So this morning when we were meditating, we practiced to see what is the foundation of our joy and our happiness. And in Buddhism we say there are 4 foundations of joy and happiness. And joy and happiness are 2 degrees of the same thing. But with joy there is still a little bit of excitement in it. How much excitement is there? That is something we need to know. When we have a feeling of happiness, we can call it a pleasant feeling. When we have a pleasant feeling, we have to ask ourselves, is there some excitement in my pleasant feeling? That is, I have a pleasant feeling because tomorrow Thai is going to give a Dharma talk. So I'm still excited because I'm not actually listening to the Dharma talk, but I'm just looking forward to hearing the Dharma talk. Or tomorrow we're going to go out and have ice cream. So I have a pleasant feeling, but it's excitement in that because I'm not really enjoying the ice cream now. So that is how we distinguish between different kinds of happiness. And joy, is said, is sometimes still has a bit of excitement in it. But also we can say that joy means a little happiness. Just an ordinary little happiness. Like your little boy, he comes in the door and he smiles. And you just feel happy a little bit to see your little boy smiling is there for you. And then after that, you look deeply and you see that every day your little boy is growing up. And in a few years, he won't be your little boy anymore. He will be a teenager who has his own ideas, and then he will go away from home. And you see that, oh, what a wonderful moment that it's just this moment that we have together. And you feel a deep kind of happiness. So that is called happiness as opposed to joy. There is no excitement in that. Actually, you've seen that life is impermanent, and your very seeing that life is impermanent has helped you to be in touch with the present moment deeply, and to deeply enjoy the present moment. So that can be called happiness. In the Buddha's time, they used to say, joy is like when you know that there's an oasis where you're going to get a drink, and happiness is when you're drinking the water. You put your hands in the water, you scoop it up, and you drink it. That is the happiness. So the first thing is, in order to be happy, do I need to let go of something? So before, when we were talking about going to India or coming to Plum village, we talked more about letting go of material things. I let go of electricity, I let go of running water and things like that. I let go of a comfortable bedroom and stay in a tent. But letting go has another meaning from that also. It means letting go of our ideas, and mostly our ideas about happiness. Because in the limbic part of our brain, where we have something called the reward system, that if you do something you will get a pleasant feeling, you will get a reward. This part of our brain is not so conscious. And we really like the pleasant feeling. We really want the pleasant feeling. So we have ideas. We have ideas about what's going to bring us happiness connected with that reward system. In a very gross way, we can talk about alcohol and drugs and sex as being a kind of part of the reward that gives us a pleasant feeling. But also there are other more subtle things that we think will bring us happiness. And we give us an idea that I have to have that in order to be happy. If I don't have that, I cannot be happy. So we need to sit down with a paper and a pencil and ask ourselves the question, is there anything I feel I really have to have in order to be happy? And if we find that there is, then we have to let go of it. Because that is what is stopping us from being happy. The idea that only this can make me happy is what is stopping us from enjoying so many other things that can make us happy. So Thai often teaches us, meditate like this. Also write down, what are the things that can make you happy? And so one of the things Thai always says is, I have two eyes. That should make me happy straight away, because if I lost my sight, I would be miserable, and I would think that having sight again would would be my greatest happiness. But now you have sight, you're not happy about it. So Thai teaches this often. And then one time in a question and answer, somebody said to me, I'm always practicing reminding myself that I have two eyes, but it doesn't make me happy. So what can we can intellectually, we can tell ourselves, I have two eyes, I should be happy, but still I don't feel happy. Actually, your two eyes are not enough to bring you sight. To have sight, you need to have many areas of your brain. You need to have the visual cortex, and you need to have area, whatever, 17 or whatever. And you also need to have light waves in order to have sight. So when Thai says that you feel happy because you have two eyes, it doesn't just mean you have two eyes. It means you have the part of your brain which make vision possible. And it also means you have light waves. You have molecules, you have other things, you have which are interacting with each other in order, and interacting with your eyes in order to make sight possible. So sight in itself is a wonderful thing. And if we practice stopping and looking deeply at what it is to be able to see, then we can begin to feel how wonderful it is to be able to see. And when we feel how wonderful it is to be able to see, then we feel a kind of happiness, a kind of meaningfulness in life. Because a scientist, when a scientist makes a discovery, the scientist feels very happy. And we are all scientists in a way. We have our letting go has to go along with our mindfulness, our concentration, and our insight. So we say, first of all, that the most important thing to let go of is our idea of what is going to make us happy. And if we do that, we can allow ourselves to dwell in the present moment and to experience happiness. And the second thing is mindfulness. I have to repeat a little bit about letting go. Letting go is not just letting go with your conscious mind. You have to let go in your subconscious, your unconscious mind. Because we saw before that the limbic system is responsible for giving you pleasant feelings. And there are certain ideas about happiness which are embedded in your limbic system. So you're not just dealing with your conscious mind. Actually, transforming your conscious mind is not very difficult. The deeper layers of the subconscious and the unconscious mind are less easy to transform. But we have to use the conscious mind in order to transform the subconscious and unconscious mind. So we need our conscious mind. But our conscious mind has to be aware we're not just transforming our conscious mind, we're also transforming our unconscious mind. So the second foundation of joy and happiness is mindfulness. And one day when I was in the institute and we were organizing the retreat, I was walking up the stair fast in order to organize something, I can't remember. And Thai was walking down the stairs slowly. So Thai said to me, he said, you know that every step can bring happiness? So that has always stayed with me. Every step can bring happiness. So one day when I wasn't feeling very happy, I said, okay, I will experiment. Every step can bring happiness. So I experiment walking down the stairs. Every step can bring happiness. And in fact, when I was 100% there in every step, at first I didn't feel so happy, but I felt that I was transforming the suffering. The suffering that was there was being taken care of. And as I got toward the bottom of the stairs, I felt the happiness now has a chance to come up. And in fact, staying in every step, mindful in every step can be happy. At the very least, every step can remove suffering, transform suffering. And so mindfulness brings happiness. Mindfulness brushing your teeth, mindfulness washing your hands can bring you happiness. When you turn on the tap and you see the water is there, you remember the time when you were in India, you didn't have any running water, you feel happy. Last night I couldn't sleep, so I was lying there and I reminded myself, I asked myself, are you in pain? And I thought, no, I'm very comfortable lying on my bed. So immediately I began not to worry so much about not sleeping. And then I remember a time when I was sitting on the aeroplane all night. And it's very crowded. I had two large people on either side of me. And I couldn't lie down. It was very unpleasant. But now I have a chance, I'm lying down. So the mindfulness of the suffering in the past, it helped me to feel at ease and at peace in the present moment. So we say mindfulness is a source of happiness. Concentration is really a source of happiness. When you sit in meditation or you walk in meditation and your mind is wholly with your breathing and you drop everything else and just feel the oneness of your body and your mind, for the longest you can do that, you feel happy. And finally, insight. Insight is what comes from looking deeply and understanding. And when you look deeply into something that you're going through and you understand its roots, you already feel happy. I suppose when you begin to understand your suffering, or you understand the suffering of another person who has made you suffer, then the reason you feel happy is because you feel that you have some kind of control over the situation, that you are not a victim of the situation anymore when you can understand what is going on. So we need time. We need time to be able to look deeply, to concentrate, and to understand. And you're very fortunate that you have been able to come to Plum Village for a week, and that will give you the opportunity to stop and to understand. You have that chance. So we should be careful not to spend too much time having a conversation. It may be very interesting to meet some other people who are also going on the path like you are. And they may also have their story to tell, and you have your story to tell. But if we spend a lot of time talking and exchanging, we may lose the opportunity to be able to stop and come back and, as Brother Phap Ung said this morning, take care of our little child, understand our little child, look deeply into our little child. And especially when we have a chance to walk to the upper hamlet, we can leave a bit early so we don't have to walk very fast. And we can walk in silence. And as we walk, it gives us a chance really to take care of ourselves, to notice the feelings that are coming up, and to understand our feelings as they come up. So all this is a source of happiness. And happiness grows. And if happiness isn't there, it doesn't matter, because we always have an alternative practice, and that is taking care of the suffering. So either nourish the happiness by practicing these things, or take care of the suffering. You have both opportunities. They are both going to help you to transform. They are both equally important and equally necessary. Did I have to talk about anything else? Oh, I had to, just one thing. 2 minutes, yeah. Yeah. I had to talk about one more thing. Happiness is not an individual matter. So when you have a feeling of happiness, you look into it and you ask, where does it come from? And you also see that your parents' happiness is your happiness. And when suffering comes up, you have to ask the same, where does it come from? And sometimes if you think, oh, this is my suffering, this is my fault, you feel even worse. It makes you suffer more. But if you look deeply and you say, oh, this suffering I have now is my father's suffering, my mother's suffering, or my nation's suffering, or Mother Earth's suffering, you don't feel so bad. And your happiness is the same. When you live with your sisters, you live with your brothers, you feel the happiness. And sometimes when you don't feel so happy, you look at your sister who looks so happy, and immediately you can borrow some of her happiness. So today, Brother Phap Ung also said that when we practice taking refuge in the Sangha, we can entrust our suffering to the Sangha. We don't have to hold it on our own. And we can borrow the Sangha's happiness. We can take the Sangha's happiness into ourselves. So we've lived through centuries of individualism, and now we've come to a point where we see clearly that individualism doesn't help. And now we can live in a different way, seeing that we don't have a separate self, we don't have a separate happiness. When I water the seed of happiness in me, I'm also doing it for you. And when I take care of my suffering, I'm doing it for you, and you're doing it for me. Yeah. Thank you for listening.